Hello everybody, what is the best variant to focus on? Yes, it's going to be one of these videos if you are new to variants, and as well the idea of going into the more difficult areas of these variants, back issues if you want to call them, then which one is it best to focus on, or what is the most easiest one to start off with first before then going on the progression route of the further ones to go on. And if you watch the podcast or listen to the podcast on the weekend, you will know that we discussed this, and as well it was an idea that came up from Dan Frontline MCOC. Go and check out his website as well as a link to his Twitter, which will be in the description down below. But the burning question is, which one is indeed going to be the best one to focus on? Now I would say straight off the bat that variant 1 is a complete no-go. Maybe from a point of initial completion, but it's so specific, especially with interaction, that if you've got champions like Red Guardian to take on the last two chapters, or last two missions even, it's a case that, yeah, you need something to deal with all the disgustingness that comes with it. That's why Variant 2, Variant 3, Variant 4 and Variant 5 do have different elements to their construction which make them enjoyable, fun, and as well don't feel so restrictive on roster in some ways. All the different variants have something unique about them, whether or not it is XL champions being the go-to champions, as well as specific ones that we would seem as meme tier champions being given little boosters, like King Groot, like Joe Fixit, like so many others that are XL and as well pack a little punch. When it comes to Variant 3 is all about champions that are tech champions, and as well Sentinel can be quite cool for the interactions. Do bear in mind Hulkbuster is a great one for Variant 2. We'll go back to some of these variants and some few little champions to kind of look at. You got Variant 4, which to be honest, and I'm going to kind of solidify why I think Variant 4 might be one of the best, apart from the first chapter, which is a bit stinky, but there's less paths. And the remaining chapters do actually feel like they're fun enough. And then finally Variant 5, very recently been added, but still very fun and enjoyable for those that want to get a challenge in, and as well at the same time utilize the Mystic roster. But it's going to be a case of which one is the best one to focus on from a very early standpoint. And let's begin with the most recent one, and that's Variant 5. If you have a lot of Mystic-centric champions, and for me, it was whilst Variant 5 was introduced, I picked up a lot of decent champions. Finally picked up Scarlet Witch as a 5-star after many years of hope. Then got Black Widow Clairvoyant as a 6-star, and as well got Longshot, and as well duped my Dr. Voodoo. All champions I would have liked to have focused on, and as well the issue that I have is that a lot of my Mystic champions go off to Alliance Wars, which does restrict my business to get this done as quickly as possible. But I did manage to do it with just good perseverance. But that's the thing, if you've got a strong Mystic champions in your roster, and that's the downside, where before it would be easier to use 4 stars against some of the variant content, I feel that 5 stars are the way to go. At least rank 4 5 stars will see that this is done in the most easiest sense, and that's going to be a problem. That is a real problem if you are looking for champions to take on the content. Yes, it's not about that because you've got a symbiote boost, so if you've got symbiote based champions, but again, that goes on to specifics. And I have a 4-star Venom. I wasn't able to maximize damage as way a rank 4 5-star version versus some of the champions I was going against. So that doesn't lie a problem. Variant 5 is fun and rewarding and is great for champion usage over a broad spectrum of a roster. But the issue is being that if you want to take damage in the block, there's no mistakes, especially if you're running a 4-star. I did have some fun with a Scarlet Witch at 4-star, but it was only after I had 100% of Variant 5 that I had that available to me. So for me, that does put Variant 5 down the list on ones that I'd say to go for. But if you are desperate to get yourself tier 5 class Catalyst, as well the 6-star shards, the tier 5 basics, and the stuff that comes from it, and as well the fact is the missions are a lot less compared with the other variants, then this is definitely worth putting up. It just depends on, do you want to grasp around the difficulty side of things when grinding this out. Definitely near the bottom has got to be Variant 2. Not that it's a bad thing, I actually enjoyed Variant 2 a lot more. I spent a lot of time doing the cheesing method of Domino with the Incinerate synergy, with the parry heavy method. Didn't work all the time, and there will be some instances where, you know, that is not generally applicable. The same thing could be said by the means of Warlock. Now, the great thing about using Warlock is you go into a parry, a heavy attack, and you're able to put a bleed debuff on the enemy. Even better that the champion is a quadruple immunity champion. It's really, really effective, can power control, and as well has elements of regeneration from the SP3, not to mention armor break and a few other things that make it fun. Same thing, as I said, for this synergy here, that if you put Red Hulk in, you're able to parry heavy and do an incinerate bit of damage, which is nice, especially if you've got Suicide Masteries on, which is a nice little combination. But it's important to know your XL, large and small champions. And a quick trip over to Aunt May, link is in the description, can be a great asset, as you can sort out your XL, your large and your mediums and smalls by means of just a simple click. On screen at the moment you can see various champions like, man, XL champions in variant 2. It's going to be so much better. We've seen buffs to the likes of where is it, Hulkbusters in here. I don't know if we've had anything else actually, funnily enough. I thought there was going to be at least more than one buff here, but just Hulkbuster. And that's it, okay? It would be good to see some XL buffs, but you've got some newer champions that have been added in the last year, like Sasquatch, like, well, Mole-Man, but you have to play Mole-Man very, very low, and I think heavily awakened to be really effective. Then you've got Mojo, incredibly effective and persistent charge champion, can be a great asset. Venom, if you've got the champion. Thing, for sure. Then you've got Dragon Man, that's a great champion, and, well, the Don there, that is Apocalypse, a great champion. Although I would point out that certain champions of this list with synergy improvements, like if you got the King Groot synergy with the Sasquatch synergy, and I think with the Man-Thing synergy, then you're able to get some really decent damage. The same thing could be said with Abomination and Red Guardian synergy. So there are some like things surrounding there. Energy firing champions can be really effective against the likes of Korg, especially when it comes to variant 2, and the likes of Dormammu I've used in the past, and I think there's been, I don't know if there's a synergy coming up, or there is a synergy out to improve him. But there's loads. So there's loads to do energy-based damage that could be really effective, and yeah, like Warlock. The list goes on with available champions that could smash out variant 2 very nicely. So yes, those are XL. And as well, you've got large champions that still fall in the same factors. But yes, like, you know, there's a lot to choose from that could be very helpful to take on your grind. Do watch out though. I think as soon as you go down from XL, you do see some limitations, so it's important to box clever. And as I said, the method of doing that parry heavy could be stretched out to other champions. You can hold some debuff effects with Mr. Sinister. You can do similar things with bleed damage with Morningstar, persistent charge based on that one, and Mega Red. Yeah, the list goes on with available ones. Hulkbuster, as we've said, as well. And yeah, so many that could be really effective. Parry heavy with a MODOK, but that incinerate effect isn't as brilliant as the likes of Domino. Either way, variant 2 does suffer, especially compared with other variants. You can see from here, there's 3 chapters. You click on each chapter, there's 3 on there. You go to the likes of variant 3 when things started to change, and it's then reduced down dramatically, down to 2 apiece for 3 chapters. So yeah, that is something that's very important. If you want to save yourself on time, then it could be more of a thing to push for Polar Opposites. And Polar Opposites pushes the narrative of tech champions. And if you've got tech champions on your team, they scale up the damage. But as well, there's some very complicated fights. More so with the likes of interaction with Magnetos since the buff, and as well Colossus since the buff as well. Now here's the thing, you don't have to use tech champions. It just means it would be nice to do that in order to ramp up the damage. The kind of problem with this, if you're going up against Magnetos, is that most tech champions are hashtag metal. Not to say every single one is, but it's more of a common trait. If you get my meaning, they were hashtag metal. But yeah, this is an important thing to note. If you don't really have a strong tech roster and you don't really feel the need for it, then it's fine. It's just a case of if you want to maximize damage output. And there's some good techs. There really are. Like Mysterio, Punisher 2099 is just about to get a buff. Vulture, I'm actually enjoying. I've recently awakened. I've done a couple of videos on Vulture from a point of damage output. It's actually relatively fun. I know he's probably slept on. And I hope one day become quite an underrated champion. But, you know, they've got Hawkeye, Darkhawk, sorry, Warlock, Iron Man, Infinity War, Spider-Man, a whole plethora of champions. Guillotine 2099. The list goes on of good tech champions. But if you do not have those good tech champions, then you may be forcing yourself to do 4 stars, which again adds to the complexity of the grind. And you might be saying to yourself, hey, I've only got like, I don't know, 2 6 stars, maybe even 5 6 stars at most, maybe about, I don't know, 5 to 10 565 5 stars and a good chunk of rank 4 ones. So that isn't going to be something that will apply to you, and that's going to be quite important. Yes, skilled newer players will be able to do it, of course they will, but at the same time we have to be real on your experience with the game and as well what is going to be the best one to focus on. And I think, and this is basically my opinion on the matter, so it does differ from a lot of other players, and that is that variant 4 is the way to go, except this first chapter. This first chapter is the most ass that ever asked the ass. And that is just based on the fact of having the interaction against Electro and as well Deadpool X-Force. And your playing method against this is going to have to be very much on the point of trying to slightly power control but stay on the front foot. And there will be some tactics and changes you'll have to think about. But here's the thing. If you are struggling, then you might have to units man this and use a lot of revives to kind of get through this. Electro is not as bad in comparison to Deadpool X-Force. That seems to be one of the worst. The positive is that you're able to build up things like Fury and a passive Fury, but that's only it's easier said than done to do. It's just how things then change with the other parts of the quests. So once you say you've got through those 2 troubling parts, or mainly the Deadpool X-Force fight, those 2 fights are specific to that. You can bring 6 and 5 stars into the first mission. In the second mission, you're limited to just 5 stars, and that is something to bear in mind when you're doing that. But the most easiest chapters that are put in are chapter 2 and as well chapter 3. And both of those chapters have different things with it. The limitations of champion starage. You spend a lot of your time in game opening premium hero crystals. You spend a lot of your time in game, you know, opening up 4-star crystals, more than you would do with 5 stars and 6 stars. So it's important to look at your 2-star, 3-star and 1-star roster, which if you started off the game, you should be getting and accumulating. Do not sell your champions. That is a key thing to mention. But here's the thing. 3-star champions, as you work on them, as you get them better, and do bear in mind I've been playing for a long time, so I've got a lot of max 3 stars before they started even considering putting in 5 stars, 6 stars, and whatever they do in the future. So if you've worked on your 2-star, 3-star, and even 1-star roster to any kind of degree, this will be of benefit to how you take on those last 2 chapters. Even more so, with a lot of champion buffs means that the likes of Colossus Magnetos and Hulkbusters and so many more are going to be really effective for taking on that particular content. Those last chapters were the most enjoyable ones. There is some stuff with I think it's like a Toxicant type situation that you have to have a poison immune champion that can also cast a bleed effect or something. No, you don't have to cast bleed effect. You just need a poison immune. A poison immune with a fury. That's it. That's the one. I can't remember what it was called. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comment section about what that particular interaction buff or node is. But it's against a Mordo fight in variant 4 and right at the last quest. I personally found great joy in using the likes of Wolverine. And actually, I think it was just Wolverine. Colossus. Yeah, Wolverine and Colossus were the two MVPs of a good chunk of the last 2 chapters. So if you've got those 2 champions, it does make it easier. Mainly because some of the Moon Knight fights require a bleed vulnerability. You don't require it, but it's cool if you got it, because it means you're going to do more damage in a quicker succession. The 2-star and 3-star versions of Wolverine, I think, got me through the 2-star one was here, so this kind of Avatar Vengeance, and then on this chapter here with Waxing Crescent was that one again. And then I think the one before that was 4 stars only, and that was that. So again, like, this is all about your cultivation of what you should be working on now, or not what you're working on now, but what you may be starting to work on as you progress on in the future. So your 4 stars as well, your 3 stars, 2 stars, and 1 stars. Those are easier to get. It's easier to get acquisition of those particular starage rating things and shards compared with some of the other stuff, which is very specific. unless you want to take a 4-star against variant 5. I've done it, I didn't enjoy it that much, and the same thing with the Cavalier Challenge this month. If you make a mistake or you eat into a block, it's gone. So it's important to realize that, and it's important to work on that roster for the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. But as I said, it's easy to do, and as well, it's easier to then take on that particular content. So in my opinion, the best back issue to go for any new player or aspiring player is to go for variant 4 first, or it could be the easiest one. I'm sure there will be people that differ with that, but again, if you kind of like looked at some of the restrictions of the champion sizing in variant 2, you look at the fact variant 3 does have a few scuffy interactions, and as well having against champion acquisition and hitting shock damage is very important for the final fight of variant 3. The Colossus interaction, the Magneto interactions, and the variant 5 thing being very much like, look, you know, it is specific, it's very specific, and as well, because the health pools have been ramped up, you will spend a lot of time hitting into the enemy, and as well, damage in the block is quite severe, so intercept game have to be on point. That's why, in my opinion, as soon as you get past the first chapters, the remaining 2, or variant 4, is the easiest one to go for. But I don't know, like, put in the comment section, guys, what do you think is the most easiest of the variants, and why? That would be important as well. Why you feel that it's the easiest variant. But yeah, I would recommend going for Waning Moon variant 4 as your first variant to go for, and then think about the others in kind of descending order with like variant 3 as a second one. But again, like, look at the factors, like, do you need tier 5 class catalyst more? So you may have to kind of like think about switching it a little bit. But then putting variant 2 and variant 1 right at the very bottom, based on the amount of time you have to grind out to complete it. That's just that's where I think their time allocation to it is very important. But in any case, thank you very much for watching this deep dive video. I hope I have edited in some just like clips of me doing some variant action back in the day. And thank you very much again for watching this, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.